The next browser war is not about tabs. It is about who becomes the operating layer for your work. For almost 20 years, the browser has mostly been a window. You open Chrome, Safari, Edge, Arc, whatever your choice is. You type a URL, search something, open 5 tabs, copy text from one place, paste it into another, and slowly build your own workflow manually. But AI browsers are trying to change the role of the browser itself. The browser is no longer just where the web appears. It is becoming the place where an AI can read the page, remember the context, understand your task, and in some cases, take action on websites for you. That is why ChatGPT Atlas, Perplexity Comet, and Dia matter. They are not just 3 more browsers, they are 3 different bets on what the next interface for work could look like. OpenAI's bet with Atlas is simple. Put ChatGPT directly inside the browser. On the official Atlas announcement, OpenAI describes it as a browser built with ChatGPT at its core. The key idea is that your browser already contains your work, your tools, and your context. So if ChatGPT lives inside that window, it does not need you to constantly copy and paste from page to chat and back again. Atlas has a sidebar that can understand the page you are viewing. It can summarize, compare, analyze, and help with writing directly inside the browsing flow. More importantly, Atlas introduces browser memories and agent mode. Browser memories are optional, but they are a big signal. The browser is not only seeing a page in the moment, it can remember pieces of what you explored and bring that context back later. That makes the browser feel less like a blank window and more like a workspace that knows what you were doing yesterday. Then comes agent mode. OpenAI says Atlas can ask permission to open tabs and click through websites to complete tasks. For example, it can help research, analyze information, plan events, or perform routine workflows. But OpenAI also clearly says this is a preview, it can make mistakes, and it carries new risks because browser agents can run into malicious instructions hidden inside web pages or emails. That caveat is important because the real question is not whether an AI browser can click. The real question is whether you trust it enough to click in the places that matter. Perplexity's Comet is a different angle. Comet is positioned as a personal AI assistant inside a browser. Its official page talks about delegating tasks like managing email, shopping, planning vacations, staying on top of finances, and researching the web. That framing matters because Perplexity is not only saying, ask a question, it is saying, delegate the messy web task. Search used to be a list of links. Then AI search became answers with citations. Comet pushes one step further. The browser assistant should move across pages, organize the work, and help finish the task. So if Atlas is ChatGPT becoming a browser, Comet is Perplexity trying to turn research into action. Dia from the browser company is probably the most work context focused of the three. Dia's official site talks about reading between tabs. It talks about a morning brief that pulls from calendar, inbox, and key links. It talks about synthesis across Slack, Notion, Calendar, G Suite, tabs, and more. It also talks about live work, where GitHub and Notion can appear as places where work is actually happening directly in the tab bar. This is a very different product story from the old browser. The old browser says, here are your tabs. Dia says, here is the work hiding across your tabs, your meetings, your docs, and your tools. That is why I think the phrase AI browser is slightly too small. What these companies are really building is a context layer. The context layer has 4 parts. First, page awareness. The assistant can understand the current web page, document, product page, inbox, or dashboard without you copying everything into a chat. Second, memory. The assistant can remember past context, or at least retrieve it, so your browser is no longer stateless. Third, action. The assistant can click, fill, compare, organize, draft, summarize, or move between websites. Fourth, permission and control. This is the hardest part. Once the assistant can act inside a browser, the product needs clear boundaries. What can it see? What can it remember? When does it need approval? What happens on financial sites, work accounts, emails, or private documents? This is why AI browsers are not just a feature race. They are a trust race. If a chatbot gives a wrong answer, you can ignore it. But if a browser agent clicks the wrong button, sends the wrong message, buys the wrong product, or exposes private context, the cost is higher. So the winner will not simply be the browser with the best summary button. The winner will be the browser that creates the best trust model around context, memory, and action. Now, there is another layer here: distribution. Browsers are sticky. Most people do not change their default browser often. Chrome has the advantage of habit, Google account sync, extensions, Android and enterprise IT. Safari has the Apple ecosystem. Edge has Windows distribution. So AI browser startups and AI companies have a hard problem. They cannot just be clever. They need to be useful enough that people change one of the most habitual tools on their computer. This is where the strategy becomes interesting. OpenAI has ChatGPT usage and user demand. If Atlas becomes the best way to use ChatGPT across the web, it can pull users from the assistant into the browser. Perplexity has search behavior. If Comet makes research and task delegation meaningfully faster than a normal browser, it can pull users from search into workflow. Dia has product taste and work context design. With the browser company now connected to Atlassian, the future angle could become very interesting for knowledge work, teams, docs, tickets, and project context. But none of this is guaranteed. The risk is that every AI browser becomes a demo machine. It looks magical in a launch video, but in daily use, the user still has to correct it, watch it, approve it, and clean up after it. That is why the real test is not, can it summarize this page? The real test is, can it complete a normal work task better than my current system? For example, compare three products, check pricing, extract caveats, make a short recommendation, and leave a clear audit trail. Or read a GitHub issue, find the related documentation, summarize the root cause, and create a draft response. Or prepare for a meeting using calendar, email, previous docs, and open tabs without inventing anything. Those are the tasks that will decide whether AI browsers become daily tools or just another shiny AI wrapper. My current view is this: AI browsers will not replace operating systems tomorrow, but they are becoming an operating layer for the web. And for many people, especially knowledge workers, the web already is the place where work happens. Your documents, your meetings, your inbox, your code, your dashboards, your research, your shopping, your banking, your learning, everything is already inside the browser. So if an AI can sit inside that environment, understand context, remember what matters, and act with permission, then the browser becomes much more than a window. It becomes the control plane. That is the shift. Not search box versus search box, not tab design versus tab design. The real race is who owns the trusted context layer between you and the web, and that is why AI browsers are one of the most important product battles to watch right now.